but don't forget to subscribe to this channel and please click on the notification bell. With that said, let's go on to the story. This audio was brought to you by Milky Way Reads. Rip Van Goofy. Once upon a time, in a sleepy little village, there lived a friendly young fellow named Rip Van Goofy. Most times, you can find him sitting outside in the village inn, chatting with his friends, Mickey Van Bummel, the schoolmaster, and Horace Vedder, the owner of the inn. Talked about all the latest news, sometimes for the whole afternoon. One sunny day, Rip Van Goofy went to the inn. He was ready for some good fishing and a long nap. He wanted to know if Mickey or Horace would go with him to his favorite fishing hole. "No, I better stay here and keep an eye on the inn," said Horace Vedder. "And I don't have a pole," said Mickey Van Bummel. "But you have a good time, Rip." And so it was that Rip Van Goofy set out alone on that sunny day. He waved to his friends and began to walk along a long, dusty country road. He stopped to talk to his friend Clarabelle, who just lived outside of town. After a few minutes, he set off again. A couple of miles later, he saw a big, crooked tree. "Here's my turn," he said, and walked to the woods until he found his favorite spot. Rip Van Goofy sat down on the soft grass and dropped a fishing line into the water. "This is the life," he said as he leaned against a moss-covered rock. He kept one eye on his line, watching for any sign of a nibble, while he closed the other eye. He spent most of the afternoon half awake. As daylight began to fade, Rip Van Goofy's other eye closed, and he fell into a deep, deep sleep. Bright sunshine awakened Rip. He sat up and rubbed his eyes. Last he knew, it had been early evening. Now it was morning. "Well, golly," he thought, "can I have really slept here all night long?" Rip reached for his fishing pole. The metal reel, which had been quite shiny and new when he had fallen asleep, was now completely rusted. His wooden rod looked much worn than he remembered. "Now that's strange," said Rip, and he began to rub his chin. But even stranger was realizing that he had a long gray beard. Rip wondered if he was still dreaming. How could a fellow grow a foot-long beard overnight? Confused, he rose to his feet, picked up his rusty fishing rod, and began his walk back to the village. His whole body was stiff and sore, so the trip took much longer than he expected. Eventually, Rip found himself walking through the center of the village, but instead of a sleepy little place he remembered, he found a bustling town. Stranger still, Rip Van Goofy thought he knew everyone in the village, but today he didn't recognize anyone. No one seemed to know him either. Everyone stopped and stared as he walked by. So Rip Van Goofy walked into the village inn, where he used to chat with his friends, but the inn was gone. In its place stood a restaurant called Vedder's Victuals. Someone was rocking in a rocking chair in the porch. Rip walked over to him. "Do you know a Horace Vedder?" he asked. The fellow in the chair peered over his glasses at Rip. "Horace Vedder used to own this place," he replied, "but he sold it to me before he moved away. That was 30 years ago." Rip's head was spinning. Nothing made sense. How could Horace Vedder have left the town 30 years ago when Rip had just seen him the day before? Rip was at his wit's end. Well, golly, does anybody know Rip Van Goofy? He cried out in frustration. Rip Van Goofy? Asked the old fellow, rising slowly to his feet. Is that really you? Rip heard something familiar in the old man's voice. Then, suddenly he realized it was Mickey Van Bommel. Rip said, puzzled as to his friend's changed appearance. But you look so old. Mickey Van Bommel chuckled. And so do you, my friend, he replied. Just then, Rip turned and caught a glimpse of his reflection in the restaurant window. He gasped. Who was that old man staring back at him? The last time I saw you was that day you went fishing 40 years ago, Mickey Van Bommel recalled. We didn't come back. We went looking for you, but we didn't know where your special fishing spot was. Where have you been all this time? We missed you. Suddenly, as Rip thought about all the day's events, all the pieces of the puzzle came together. The rusted fishing reel, the long beard, the stiff joints, and the changes to the village. He had been asleep for 40 years. He told Mickey Van Bommel the remarkable story. Before long, his tale had become a legend for miles around, since Rip Van Goofy was still just as easygoing and agreeable as he was on the day he left. He soon became popular with everyone in the town all over again. He and Mickey Van Bommel loved to pass the times sitting in front of the restaurant, chatting about the old days and talking for hours. Rip also still enjoyed fishing and napping while fishing. But now, before he had dozed off, he always made sure there was someone around to wake him up, just in case. The end. Let's go revise some words just found in the story. The first word, stiff. Stiff means hard and solid. In Spanish, it means rígido. In Arabic, قاسٍ أو صلب. Next word, sore. Sore means painful. In Spanish, dolor. In Arabic, مؤلم. Third word, stared. Looked at sharply. In Spanish, midara. In Arabic, يحدق.